I got a story for you while you were away. It's like one of these while you were out, like if you were with me, I'd leave you a Post-it note on your desk. While you were out, you missed this kind of thing. I'm dying to show this to you, but I've saved this for the airwaves.
Okay. Is it me?
No, it's not you. The last time I did this, it was you, I believe. But this is something that I'm dying to get your view on it, because I have a feeling if something like this happened to you out in the world, you wouldn't be happy about it. So you go to conventions quite often, and you're asked to be on a panel, right, with other wrestlers.
Yep.
Okay. When you're asked to be on a panel with other wrestlers, do the promoters ever give you any kind of direction, or do they ever ask you in advance, hey, you're on this panel with so-and-so, is that okay? Or is there anything you don't want us to talk about?
Well, not so much is there anything you don't want us to talk about, because usually sometimes those panels you take questions from like the people that are watching. There's usually a live audience there. But I think if a promoter knows that two people have heat, they will either make sure that you're separated. If everybody, like if 10 people have to be on the panel at the same time, two people don't get along, they might put one over here and one over here, so you're not directly sitting next to them. Or you can say, if you know somebody's there that you don't want to sit next to, you can just be like, well, I'm not sitting next to him, or I'm not sitting next to her, kind of deal. And they're very accommodating. So, that makes me think, like, this is a convention.
So this is going to be from a convention. Yeah. Okay. So this convention, I'm not sure where it was, but it was a very small panel. So this is why it's interesting. And I can't imagine that there wasn't any discussion beforehand. So the panel was Melina, who we've talked about in the past on Eyes Up Here and on the channel, and Candice Michelle, which I can only assume they were just discussing their careers, WWE, the business, things going on, past and present. That's what I could safely assume they were told they would be talking about on the panel. Okay. What I'm going to play for you is a video taken by a fan in attendance that someone asked a question to Candice Michelle. And so quickly does this question go off the rails that I'm just curious to see, like, what you think of it, what your reaction would be to it, so on and so forth.
Okay.
All right. So just give me a minute. I'm going to pull it up.
Uh-huh.
So, tell me a little bit of the differences. I know you went to Ohio Valley, and then after
I'm sorry, the moderator asked the question.
Developmental after Diva Search.
So, coming into the business, I think where the differences lie with me and Melina is I come from Hollywood, and she came from training at wrestling schools. So, but remember, I'm talking Los Angeles. Yeah, but is it different about being in Hollywood and you're at a wrestling school? I mean, you can interrupt me all you want, but I'm just trying to tell the facts of the story. And the reality is, it was really difficult to work with her. And today, I came in here, we put all this stuff aside, and we're grown. And she got hot in my face, like, why are you telling people I was difficult to work with? Because you were. But you know what? Her being so hard to work with was the best motivation for me. Because anytime anybody tells you no, or you can't do it, that's when you really get the power. And that's when you can really make things happen. And I didn't get to go train at a wrestling school. I was lucky to go right to TV. But I trained, I go in 2 hours before the house shows, and I learned with the refs. I watched them set up. Keenan would get in the ring with me. I come home on my days off, I drive an hour and a half, train with TJ Perkins and some other wrestlers at the indie shows. So I had to learn as I was going. And then the respect that I give her is she did work amazing in that ring. She did do incredible matches. But for somebody that didn't know anything about wrestling, to get in there with somebody that didn't want to work with you, it was really difficult.
Oof. Can't hear the question, obviously.
Yeah, I think.
But just the reaction here, looking at Melina.
Look at her face.
He asked if she was intimidated coming from Hollywood and not having a wrestling background. Does that make a difference for you?
I wouldn't use the word intimidating because Hollywood itself is intimidating, right? So you just gotta really have that.
Wow. Okay.
So, what are your thoughts after seeing that?
The first thing that I should say is if they squashed their beef, then I could understand them sitting next to each other. Like she said, we squashed everything, right? That usually that means you're friendly now. Candice totally threw Melina under the bus in this segment here. Didn't even let her speak. When she was done speaking, do you have a question? Yeah. Kind of cut it off and didn't even let Melina say 2 words. If their beef was squashed, I feel like that's not the way that somebody should answer a question. She came off as a little pretentious, a little condescending. I give Melina respect that she didn't go off on her. She kind of sat there and took it. I would have said, "Excuse me, may I have a rebuttal, or may I, have something? Can I say something?" Like I would have tried to say something, but I don't think I would put myself in that position. There's a female who I don't get along with. And I'm not going to put her name over, but I guess everybody knows who it is. And I would not sit next to her on a panel because it would just be an argument. You always have he said, she said, and the truth. There's 3 sides to every story. Candice believes in what she is saying. Melina probably has a different story. They're going to agree to disagree, I guess. But when you say our beef is squashed and then you go up there and you act like that, that's not, to me, there's still something there. There's still animosity there. There's always going to be something there that isn't going to make the 2 of them friends. So I think it was just a bad idea to agree to put those 2 on a panel. I would have loved to see the whole conversation to see how it panned out. But I wouldn't want to sit next to somebody I don't get along with. That's why I always hated, if you don't like me, don't come shake my hand and give me a fake hello. Don't say hi to me. You don't like me? Keep walking. Don't be fake. I hate fake people. And if I know you don't like me, but you come up to me and you try to give me a worker handshake or try to look me in the eye and say hello, don't even bother. I would respect you 100 times more if you walked right by and didn't say 2 words to me. And that's the way I feel. Don't like me? Keep walking. Don't be fake. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Nothing.
Do me a favor. Explain the worker handshake to those that don't know what.
Oh, the little limp, It's like I couldn't care less to be looking at you or talking to you or whatever. You don't know how many times I've grabbed their hand and said, "Give me a real handshake," because I hate the worker handshake. It's terrible. But yeah, I just feel like if they really squashed their beef, I think it would have been a little more friendlier. And I just feel like Candice was just she threw her under the bus. She ran over her 5 times and then she took off. Didn't even let the girl talk.
Yeah.
That's brutal. So I've never heard of their, their heat. I don't know what it was. But there's something there. There's something still there that hasn't been squashed. And I guess this just reignited the feud. Because don't tell me that they got up and now they're best friends after that. You can see in Melina's face, she was just like, what the heck just happened? You know? And I know if somebody said to me, everything's cool, and then we get on a panel and they did me dirty like that, I'd be livid. And I don't think I would have sat there like Melina did. So hat off to her, because she handled it with grace and dignity. Maybe I would have, I don't know. I guess it depends on the situation. She did handle it nicely, but then again, you don't want people to walk all over you. You have to stand up for yourself. And I feel like if she believed that she was right, she should have opened her mouth and she should have just asked that guy, can I just have 2 minutes to say something, and said her piece, but she didn't do that. And Candice just took over that whole panel. So
yeah, that's
rough.
That was rough. That was rough to watch.
Wow.
Again, if you just watch Melina during it, you see like the natural reaction of her listening, kind of like starting to be like, oh, like what's she saying? And then like you just see her just dropping. I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, can you stop? Like, it was overkill by the end of it. But I never knew anything about a beef with them either. And, I meant to ask a friend of mine who may give me a little bit of context into what the feud could be about, but I never got around to being able to do so. But you got to think Candice has been sitting on that for a while, and that was the first chance that she had to do it.
I mean, apparently that's how she feels. And maybe she does have a point. Maybe what she's saying is valid. But when you start off by saying, I thought we squashed this, but it made it look like Melina was the one talking shit about her, saying I'm difficult to work with. Like she kind of put it on Melina at first, but then she kind of buried her in the process and just kept kind of putting herself over. Like, I'm not a trained wrestler, but I went out there, and props to her. Wasn't she like Diva Search or something?
Candice Michelle, I think she was
Diva Search. I'm pretty sure she was a Diva Search contestant, and that's fine, because a lot of those girls were, and they went on to become superstars in the business in WWE. You know what I mean? When you don't have a wrestling background, it is hard to adapt and it's hard to learn. And if you don't go to Ohio Valley or you don't go to training, you learn on the road. And maybe that's what happened to Candice. So I'm not taking anything away from that. But the thing that I had a problem with is you squashed everything, but then you start a fight. That was kind of like starting the feud again.
Right.
And she just didn't give her an opportunity to respond. And I don't know, Melina just kind of sat there and took it. And again, she handled it with, grace, but she let her walk all over her. I don't know. I like Melina. I know her. I never met Candice Michelle. I don't know anything about her. But that to me was very uncomfortable. Uncomfortable for me to watch. I can't imagine being one of the two girls in the scenario. So.
Maybe Sunglasses McGee there should have asked a better follow-up question rather than just let her on her own take a fan question from the audience. Interrupt them. Come on.
Yeah, what he should have did was he should have took the mic and told Candice, hold on a second. I'd like to hear what Melina has to say to that. That would have been the smart thing to do, because then you get both sides to the story. But she totally steamrolled her. And I felt bad for Melina. Her face said it all. She just looked like totally confused and pissed. So, and I would have been too. I don't know how I would have handled it. Part of me says I would have been like, wait a minute, calm down. What are you talking about? And then another part of me says, well, maybe I just would have just rolled my eyes at her. And, I don't know. Hopefully I'm never in that situation, because I'm not sitting next to a mortal enemy on a panel. Don't even come at me, promoters. I'm not doing it.
I could see you somewhere in the middle.
Oh, I'd be on the farthest end. You don't even know. There'd be no way I'd be next to somebody I don't like.